All right, let me just show you the general ropes of how. I guess this is a general guide in how to work with UI in Polyspice. So in order to do this, it's like typically what we will do is we will create a hierarchy. So you have the bottom one. It's rather important that you don't put an image here or anything because everything below it will be related to it. So you put the rect transform into stretch mode, and then the numbers have to be 0, 0, 1, 1, and I'll explain in a minute why we are like why we do it like that. Now, what we want to do is to make sure that it kind of fits the different formats. So if I go to this landscape, then the whole thing should work. And as you can see currently, it's not. So if I go to, this is the one we typically play with, you see it works perfectly. But if I go to this one and then look at it, it doesn't work at all, right? So we're having some problems here. I'm going to show you how to fix these and how to make sure that this doesn't happen in the future. Obviously, you want to generally work with having a layout that kind of works in all screens, so you have to test on all of them. All right, so we have the background black. The background black is kind of the color that we put on. So, you know, you could have added it here, but for the reason I stated before is like when you then start and want to change this background black and its position and stuff like that, it's like everything will break. So don't put a image on this one. Now we have the background black. That kind of sets the tone for the whole thing. You can see how it is here. And again, we kind of put it in the stretch state so that it stretches. This means that when we change the format, it will kind of stretch with it. Now we have the frame again. We kind of create an anchor. As you see, the image is also off here. So everything, this is kind of container. And in reality, we could remove this image here if we wanted to, and everything would be fine as well. So typically, I leave that in there because then, you know, I can kind of see how the background stretches and stuff, but we don't use it. All right. So now we have the background. Again, we kind of create these containers so that we have everything in order and we can just disable and enable parts of the whole thing, right? So, but now it starts getting interesting, right? So as you can see here, this background kind of, and this is where we are starting to see these problems, right? So as you see, it has custom, and that's how we do it. So generally, you will start all of these with making the stretch thing, and then you will kind of say, all right, this is going to take this part of the screen. Now, what you notice is that these small white handles here will show your percentage, right? So you see 50%, 36, and 32. These percentages show how much of the screen it's going to take up. So instead of you kind of placing something, it says that this part will be 36% of the screen. And so it would be located like this, no matter how the screen is, right? So now you see the remove ads button and the watch ad button have these anchors the right place. So if you go now and we look at the game and we put that in a different format and we go back, you will see that it still doesn't work, but you see that this frame kind of contains its proportions, right? It's at the same location, but it's just changed a little bit, right? So let's go back to this one here, because that's the one we kind of work with to begin with. So now we have it here, all right? So I like to keep this tidy. So what I do is I just remove these, keep a tight eye on how it works here. I think that would be 32, 68. So that kind of fits on each side. This can be 40, and this can be 9. All right. Now we kind of have a good square. And so what we do here is we set these to 0. So now it kind of fills out the whole thing perfectly. These top ones kind of, it's an example of how it will follow the frame around here. So how will it follow these numbers? I would just say it should not. We could do, for example, we could say, all right, we do 30 here, and then you see it moves in 30 units here. I think it might be working with this. Anyways, all right. Now we have the background, everything is there. And now we have 2 sets. And as you notice here, you see that this is set to the middle and center. So it's set here, and that's the reference point that we're working with. What we want to do here is say, all right, we don't want it to be in the center. We want it to be like this. It has to fill this out. And maybe we just move it up a little bit more so that it looks like this. And so we say this is 80, this is 47. And so now what it's doing is, because we set this background, it's going to follow this as kind of the internal, it's going to reference its parent, right? So this one is 100% in relation to this. So when we say 47, that means that it's 47% in here in relation to its parent. Now we set that up. We kind of set 0 here, and there's a bug in Unity so that sometimes you have to just do this twice. Now you see we have this, it kind of fits up perfectly. We do the same for this one, and just start by doing this, and then we do 47 here. So let's just 0, 0, and then it's 0 here and 1 here because it's up. Then 47, that goes to 53. Then this one was 8, right? So we just set it to 0. There might, be some calculation. You don't really have to do that. I just like to do that. So now what you see is that we kind of have this. Let's just set the text, the head text up here. So now we kind of using the other ones. Let's see, that's 92, and we kind of make it fit, right? And in the middle and center. Now we kind of have all of this stuff. Now go to the game, and we change it to this one. You see that now it's still working. As you can see, we didn't align everything inside of the box, but generally everything is kind of working now. So all we have to do is set the stuff inside of the box. And I think that's how we work with UI, as like in a very, very short general sense. It's like position everything so that it will work with all different scales. So to begin with, as you can see, because I didn't know how this is going to look, I don't use that much time on kind of scaling. I just put things in there, and then it would work with one screen, but not the other one. So typically I do that to rough things up just to see, am I going in the right direction or the wrong direction? And then in the end, I'll clean it up by making sure that it fits all the different forms. All right, thanks for watching.